This is day 5 of this July 2026 7-day session. Before we go any further, I'd like to read from a passage from a book, an old book, that I've read from. I always date these things. I see I've read it from. It's 7 different sessions over my career as a teacher, but I haven't read it according to this, I haven't read it in 14 years. It's a report by a scientist who studied the wing positions of the birds flying in an arrow formation, such as we see here in the Northeast, the Midwest. See these flocks of birds flying in that formation. It's from a book called Sensitive Chaos, and its subtitle is The Creation of Flowing Forms in Water and Air. And this is as good an analog for sesshin, the mysterious power of sesshin, as I've ever read. It's a bit long, so stay with me on this. So it has illustrations in the book, and it begins: each bird lies on a wave which is made in the air by the leader. The beats of their wings follow the ups and downs of the wave and simply make visible what, as a vibrating aerial form, surrounds them and bears them all in the arrow formation. Each bird flies in a fixed position in the aerial form, and the form itself unites all the individual birds. Any single bird does not need much strength, for it is as though the movement of the wave of air were to raise and lower its wings for it. If one of the birds has an excess of energy, it will do more than simply allow itself to be carried along. With the beating of its wings, it will strengthen the whole wave, will infuse the aerial form with energy from which all will benefit who would on their own no longer have the strength to fly. These take energy from the whole moving field of air. Indeed, and this is wonderful, indeed, even the leading bird itself draws energy from this field. The arrow formation is a totality in which the separate birds lie embedded like organs. A new body has been created out of air in which, as with the body of sound of an orchestra, the single instrument to a great extent merges into the whole. It is, though, a necessary part of the whole. The separate birds are linked together by the surrounding air as though by elastic threads. The air, which connects the birds like an elastic medium, acts like a muscle. It unites the different limbs of the formation into a unity which was not there before, and is caused to do this by a higher being, namely the group soul of these birds. One might also say that this group soul manifests itself in the density of air and acts as an integrating muscular system. The elastic properties of muscles are indeed similar to the elasticity of the air. In a muscle, these properties of air are simply embodied and made visible in matter. Thus it comes about that during a long flight over many hundreds of miles, each single bird, elastically connected with the whole flight, beats its wings exactly as many times as all the others in the formation. The entire process is an aerial form, an organic whole moving through the air. Each bird is a creature of the air. It is born out of the air and entrusts itself to it. It cannot possibly be abandoned by the air. I didn't say the author of this book, Sensitive Chaos. It's Theodore Schwenk. Now we'll return to our text from earlier in the sesshin, Zen Essence. It's an anthology of Chinese masters, Zen masters. It was translated and edited by Thomas Cleary. And this is where we left off yesterday. An ancient Zen master said, this particular master is Yuan Wu, the editor of the Blue Cliff Record. An ancient Zen master said that Zen is like learning archery. Only after long practice do you hit the bullseye. Enlightenment is experienced instantaneously, but Zen work must be done over a long time. Like a bird that when first hatched is naked and scrawny, but then grows feathers as it is nourished until it can fly high and far. Back to birds here. It's you can't overstate how important patience is in Zen practice. Patience, persistence. Later in this book, there's a Da Wei, the great Chinese master Da Wei, says it very simply. He says, when you have even a single thought of looking for a shortcut in Zen, you have already stuck your head in a bowl of glue. We have, for so very, very long, for years, for decades, been misusing the mind, allowing it to scatter and attach to thoughts, worst of all, thoughts and things. We've been spending lifetimes misusing the mind. How can we expect to master this in a sesshin or a few years? Yes, one can have an awakening experience, even one's first sesshin, but the work goes on. It kind of becomes a question of whether you do the work before having the Dharma confirmed through the awakening or after. Well, you definitely have to do it after, but the more you do before, the less work will be left to do after. And and then he says as much. He says, those who have attained clear, penetrating enlightenment then need fine-tuning. But we don't have to have such a pure character from the outset. A lot of us begin Zen practice just hungering to get this thing we've heard about called awakening. And some of those people will leave before the experience, when they, as a Korean Zen master Kusan Sunim said, they discover that it's not so easy to come to awaken. It's not as easy as cooling hot porridge with cold water. Roshi Kapleau said that when he went to Japan and started his training, he just wanted to grab Kensho and run. But obviously, he had a much deeper affinity with the Dharma than that. Honestly, none of us knows when we first come to practice how deep our affinity with it is. Only time will tell. The master continues, when it comes to worldly situations by which ordinary people get suffocated, those who have attained Zen get through them all by being empty. Thus, everything is their own gateway to liberation. There's that word again. You get through them by being empty. How do we be empty? By doing this practice. By not trafficking in thoughts. We little by little empty out this grasping and all these mental attachments. Find ourselves moving through these gnarly situations in our lives more easily, not effortlessly, but more easily. Thus, everything is their own gateway to liberation. The whole world is medicine. It's a very short one. If you have the idea of superiority and are proud of your ability, this is a disaster. Well, I think that's self-evident to anyone here. But what is interesting is that sense of superiority is just one type of egoism. The other type of egoism is one of inferiority. I'm not as good as others. Other people may do well, for me, is just a struggle. Other people have the goods, I don't. It's just ego. I don't like to use that word very often, but I'll just use it here. The Buddha, somewhere in the Buddha's teaching, he said there are two types of cravings with regard to existence. One is the craving for existence and the craving for non-existence. So the craving to be somebody and the craving to be nobody. Those who think that others are better than them in any particular way, it's a more gnarled kind of egoism. We have to be watchful of either kind. Watchful by noticing our thoughts, what kind of little stories we tell ourselves, especially in Sesshin, where all these stories get exposed, our thought patterns. When you are aware of the completeness, fluidity, and boundlessness of the basic mind, our true mind, how can sense objects be partners to it? Basic mind is utterly free, open, and pure, clear and ethereal. Keep thoroughly aware of it, and do not allow superficiality. Then it is so high there is nothing above it, so broad it is boundless. Clean and bare, perfectly round, this basic mind is without contamination or contrivance. Brings to mind for me this classic symbol in Zen of the enso, the calligraphic circle that we have as an anchor down at the end of the hallway here outside the Zendo. All of that is in the perfect circle. So high there is nothing above it, so broad it is boundless, perfectly clear, round, without contamination or contrivance. This is the mind, our true mind, the mind of everyone. It's as close as we can come in form, this enso, as close as we can come in form to show formlessness, or the formlessness of form. Here now is some words from another great master. This one also of the 10th and 11th, 9th and 10th century, Zen Master Foyan. Let's see what there might be about him here. just go into his teachings. If you want to understand Zen, you must question inwardly to study it deeply. If you question deeply, transcendental knowledge appears. Wisdom. For working on a koan, questioning is ideal. It's not absolutely necessary to question. Just concentrating on the koan. Now let's talk about the first koan, mu, or what is this, what am I, who am I. You can go very, very far just by concentrating, for example, on the word mu. I think most people, it takes us a long time before it develops into a genuine question. But until then, we can get a lot of purification of mind going just by concentrating, using the word, in this case mu, as an object of concentration. And then when we reach an intimacy with the koan, we're so close, there's so few thoughts, then it can all of a sudden blossom into wonderment. What is it? What am I? The sheer concentration is the quiescent aspect of meditation, quieting the mind, letting the thoughts settle, and then out of that can come this questioning, and with it the insight, vipassana. But the magnificent thing about questioning is that to the degree that we're questioning sincerely, the mind is open. If we're just checking in now and then, have sort of sputtering questioning, okay, it'll be a little more open, but we can't hold on to our notions about ourselves and about reality and question at the same time. So the more thoroughly and deeply and sincerely we can question, the more we approach this realm of no mind, this spotless, clear state out of which awakening occurs. You can understand this even in just the ordinary conversations of people. We're going to understand more by asking questions than just spouting our ideas, our opinions. This is mansplaining and just disgorging one's views, opinions about this or that. It's just so common. It's just sad how many people, when they get together, they meet someone and they just start shoveling their ideas at them. If you want to have an interesting conversation, inquire, ask things, and then take it from there. I tell people to get to know themselves. Well, so did Socrates. Some people think this means what beginners observe and consider it easy to understand. So I think maybe what he means is some people think that means just noticing how we habitually think and how we habitually react. And that has its own value. But he says, reflect more carefully in a more probing manner. What do you call your self? People who work on the koan, who am I, or what am I, either one, know that this is the last thing you want to be doing is analyzing yourself. What's beyond what we know about ourselves? What is this true self that is no self? The Dharma is an easily understood teaching that saves energy, but people cause themselves pains. The ancients saw people helpless and told them to try meditating quietly. This was good advice, but later people didn't understand what the ancients meant and closed their eyes, suppressed body and mind, and sat like lumps waiting for enlightenment. How foolish. Close your eyes and be closed up with your thoughts. I think many or even maybe most forms of meditation, you do close the eyes, but never in Zen. You see back hundreds and hundreds of years and instructions to beginners of how to do Zazen. It's with the eyes open. We don't want to develop a dependence on our eyes being closed. How does that help you when you're out, involved, engaged with the world? Zen meditation means not just sitting. It means in everything we do, out in life, driving, working, interacting with others. And what does that mean? Just to review, doing meditation while driving. It means not clinging to thoughts, which is another way of saying being fully present. And it all starts with noticing what the mind is doing. This makes me think of the value of the kyosaku, the stick that we use on people who are okay with it. It's harder to. It's not just harder to fall asleep. Usually, the stick is not used because someone is falling asleep. The stick is used to give people an energy boost. It might be slight, but if we know how to receive the stick on these 2 points that are along an acupuncture meridian, it can really kind of turbocharge us when we really need the energy. It can also keep us from sinking completely into sluggish states of mind, drowsiness, habitual states, habits, habitual thinking. I found the most value with the Kyosaku, and I got it for years, a lot of it, was that it can just shatter a train of thought that otherwise I wasn't able to get myself out of. Thank you. Oh, this is by the same teacher, same theme. Nowadays, there are people who just sit there as they are. At first, they are alert, but after a while, they get sleepy. 9 out of 10 sit there dozing. If you don't know how to work, how can you sit there stubbornly expecting to understand? This is why it helps so much to not let the head droop. Keep it straight, chin tucked in, drawn in. Now we turn to Zen Master Da Wei, one of the most illustrious of the Chinese masters. He's from the 12th century, a contemporary of the great Zen Master Dogen. He says the realm of the enlightened is not an external realm. Well, we all know that, but in his day, there are those who, practicing the Pure Land, those of the Pure Land school, actually believed that there was a physical place you could earn your way to, called that is the land of enlightenment. He says, is not an external realm with manifest characteristics. Buddhahood is the realm of the eternal wisdom found in oneself. You do not need paraphernalia, practices, or realizations to attain it. What you need is to clean out the influences of the psychological afflictions connected with the external world that have been accumulating in your psyche since beginningless time. When he says you do not need paraphernalia, of course, practices, or realizations, he's really pointing to our originally enlightened nature. Another master came up with these words that are so potent. He says you must melt the frozen block of emotion thought. A lot of people in sesshin are confronted by this frozen block of emotion thought. Emotions, old, unresolved emotional states that we bind ourselves to with our thoughts about ourselves. He quotes, this is actually a verse in the Mumonkan as well. I think it's originally a Chinese folk saying, "Don't draw another's bow, don't ride another's horse, don't mind another's business." And then Da Wei says, although this is a common saying, it can also help you penetrate Zen. Just examine yourself constantly, from morning to night. What have you done that is beneficial to others and to yourself? If you notice any partiality, you should alert yourself and not overlook it. This partiality, by Thomas Cleary, it's another. I think it's just simply a different translation of self-centeredness. Sometimes you see self-partiality, putting oneself first, self-concern, self-absorption. When he says examine yourself, well, it sounds like a practice in its own right, but I would suggest that what he means is to notice, be aware when you're asserting yourself, putting yourself first at the expense of others. What have you done that is beneficial to others and to yourself? If you're always doing beneficial things to others, what you think is beneficial, and leaving yourself out of it, that is mistreating yourself, then it's a misunderstanding. We nourish ourselves by caring for others, putting others first. We used to have this practice we would do from time to time at the center that we called takahatsu. It wasn't the traditional Japanese takahatsu where they go off and the monks would go off in a line and hold out their begging bowls for donations from the lay people. Our version, we never thought that would work in our contemporary society. So our version was to go out and pick up litter on the streets together in a concentrated way, silence, just briskly going through with our burlap bags and gloves and picking up litter. And I just found it such a wonderful practice. I'm suddenly remembering words attributed to Abraham Lincoln. When we do good, we feel good. Now and then someone, a homeowner, maybe sitting on the porch, would see us doing that, and they'd say, thank you. And I get it. I see what they're saying, but it's really not just for them, it's for ourselves. So it makes it a practice. This sesshin, as I said in the opening talk, is not just for ourselves. In the most obvious way, we will return to our homes, to our families and our workplaces and friends changed. We will be more open and kind and responsive to others. But beyond that, beyond the obvious causal value, changing ourselves and helping others. It's just what we're doing right here this week with the mind, purifying the mind. The mind isn't just each one of our minds, it's mind. This is a great beneficent influence in the world. Just this sitting, especially to the degree that we're doing it without thoughts of self. The more empty we are, that is, the more we are not lost in thoughts, the more we will be able to respond to others. Helpfully. Here he goes on. He quotes somebody. He doesn't even say. This has quotation marks around it. So Dawei offers this quotation: "When you have no mind, Zen is easy to find." And then he comments, in Zen terminology, no-mindedness does not mean insensitivity or ignorance. It means that the mind is stable and does not get stirred up by the situations and circumstances one encounters. It means the mind does not grasp anything. It is clear in all situations, unimpeded and undefiled, not dwelling on anything. It's a really wonderful word. I've never seen it anywhere except in a Zen context, but no-mindedness means not attached to any of the trafficking in our own mind, being open, responsive. Just one more here. He says, people are backwards. Ignorant of the true self, they pursue things, willingly suffering immeasurable pains in their greed for a little bit of pleasure. In the mornings, before they've opened their eyes and gotten out of bed, when they're still only half awake, their minds are already flying about in confusion, flowing along with random thoughts. Although good and bad deeds have not yet appeared, heaven and hell are already formed in their hearts before they even get out of bed. By the time they get up, the seeds of heaven and hell are already implanted in their minds. And then he quotes the Buddha, all faculties of sense are receptacles manifested by your own mind. Physical bodies are manifestations of your own mind's representations of forms as subjectively imagined. Whew. These manifestations are like the flow of a river, like seeds, like a lamp, like wind, passing away from instant to instant. Frenetic activity, attraction to impure things, and voracity are the causes of the useless, deceptive habits that seem to have always existed, like a water wheel always turning. There's the diagnosis. We have the prescription. Let's continue. Stop now and recite the 4 vows.